A very good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News on Rajya Sabha television. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. Let us start the news bulletin with the headlines. Vice President Venkaiah Naidu to embark on a 3-day visit to Brussels to lead delegation at 12th Asia-Europe Meeting Summit. Connectivity, trade and investment in climate change and terrorism among the agenda for the meet. Law Ministry endorses proposal to remove time limit for reporting child sexual abuse. Women and Child Development Minister had written to law ministers seeking changes to allow reporting cases even 10 to 15 years later. US imposes sanctions on Iranian network of businesses for allegedly supporting child soldiers. Basit Group allegedly funded paramilitary group affiliated with the Revolutionary Guard and trained and deployed child soldiers in Syria. And Suraj Panwar bags silver in men's 5,000-meter race walk event at the Youth Olympics at Buenos Aires. This is India's first medal in athletics at the event. In the Denmark Open, Saina Nehwal wins the opening match. PV Sindhu crashes out. The top story this morning, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu will leave for Brussels in Belgium today to attend the 12th Asia-Europe or the ASEM Summit. He will lead the Indian delegation at the summit scheduled to be held on 18th and 19th of October in Brussels. The biannual event is considered the highest platform for dialogue and cooperation between Asia and Europe in the areas of trade, investment, security and tourism. The theme of this year's ASEM Summit is Global Partners for Global Challenges. Apart from the opening ceremony, Vice President will also participate in the plenary session and have interactions with various stakeholders. In addition, he will call on the King of the Belgium. Later, he will also have bilateral meetings with the heads of state and government from Austria, Portugal, Switzerland and other countries on the sidelines of the summit. On 20th of October, he will address the Indian diaspora at the Jain Culture Centre in Antwerp. And earlier on Tuesday, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu asserted that the total tax compliance should be the motto of every corporate body. Speaking at the 98th annual session of the industry body ASSOCHAM, he stressed that ethical behavior must be promoted by organizations by adopting zero tolerance towards corruption, bribery and frauds. Here are all the details.
Speaking at the 98th annual session of the Associated Chambers of Commerce and Industry in India ASSOCHAM in New Delhi, Vice President Venkaiah Naidu asserted that every corporate and industry body must promote ethical corporate governance, tax compliance and corporate social responsibility among its members. He also stressed that organizations must create an environment for whistleblowers to report wrongdoing without fear.
When you implement reforms, when the business is growing and the economy is becoming strong, you need to also follow it up with ethical governance and ethical behavior. Ethical behavior has to be promoted by individuals as well as organizations by adopting zero tolerance towards corruption, bribery and frauds. Organizations should also create an environment for whistleblowers to report any wrongdoing without any fear. Total tax compliance should be the motto of every corporate, and bodies like ASSOCHAM should sensitize its members on this aspect so that you can have peaceful mind and peaceful sleep. You have clean money, then you have clean sleep. Otherwise,
Vice President Naidu also said that tough reforms face teething troubles in initial stages, and the same was the case with both demonetization and GST. He underlined that the long-term advantages will definitely outweigh short-term hiccups.
Counterfeit currency, with this terrorist operating, with this money, people not paying tax and all. What is the result at the end of it? Today, your income tax returns have gone up considerably. Nobody can deny that fact. It has gone up by lakhs.
The Vice President noted that India is in the midst of an unprecedented economic and social transformation and is committed to build a $5 trillion economy by 2025. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
On to some other news, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said on Tuesday that India will continue to need a robust and resolute leadership that takes swift decisions at the centre to sustain its progress on a high growth path. Arun Jaitley also noted that speedy economic expansion alone can rid India of poverty and pave way towards becoming a developed country.
Addressing the 98th annual session of ASSOCHAM through video conferencing, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley said India needs a strong and decisive leadership at the centre for the high growth trajectory to continue. He asserted that the incumbent government handled the IL&FS crisis with swiftness and deftness. The debt-ridden IL&FS and its group companies had defaulted on loan payments. The government then superseded its board by appointing a new board.
The path of high growth trajectory is to continue. If this goal of higher growth, higher revenues and higher resources for the weaker and poor, better infrastructure in India, more townships in India, if this object is to be achieved, what does India need? India needs a decisive and a strong leadership at the centre.
Finance Minister Arun Jaitley also underlined the challenges for India. He noted that India is a net buyer of oil, which means a rise in global crude prices adversely impacts it, and hence the economy has to be resilient to deal with it.
Most of our oil comes through imports, and therefore the global oil prices, which have risen on account of the artificial shortages which have been created, adversely impact us. And therefore we have to face that challenge by making our economy so resilient itself that we have a capacity to bear that challenge itself.
According to Jaitley, India has an aspiring population that wants to erase the stigma of corruption. He said steps taken by the government like demonetization, GST, electoral bonds and insolvency and bankruptcy code were part of this cleansing process. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
And the CEO of Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana has said that the Prime Minister's ambitious healthcare scheme Ayushman Bharat will create 10 lakh jobs in the health and insurance sector. Indu Bhushan said that the scheme will improve the quality of healthcare in public services and also in the private sector. Addressing an event organized by industry body ASSOCHAM, he said that India still has a very high level of expenditure on health as compared to other emerging economies. He added that 6 crore people go into poverty because of out-of-pocket expenditure on health. The Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, dubbed as the Modi Care, provides 5 lakh rupees annual insurance cover to more than 10.7 crore poor families and will be funded with 60% contribution coming from the central government and the remaining from the states. On to some election-related news. BJP President Amit Shah will today kick off the party's campaign for the 28th of November Assembly elections in Mizoram. He will address a statewide booth-level workers summit in Aizawl. Amit Shah will also induct Dr. Buddhadhan Chakma, a ruling Congress legislator who resigned from the State Assembly on Tuesday. Now, Dhan Chakma will be inducted into the BJP fold in the meeting to be held today in the presence of BJP election in charge of Mizoram Himanta Biswas and other leaders. He will also inaugurate the BJP office in Aizawl. Mizoram is slated to go to polls on 28th of November. It is the only state in the entire northeast where Congress is in power at present. News from Chhattisgarh. The Election Commission issued notification for the first phase of polling for the assembly elections in Chhattisgarh on Tuesday. Polling for the first phase will be held on 12th of November. The process of filing nomination papers also began for 18 assembly constituencies of Chhattisgarh. Now, they include 12 seats of all 7 districts of Maoist-affected Bastar division and 6 constituencies of Rajnandgaon district. The last date for nominations is 23rd of October and scrutiny of nomination papers will be on 24th of October and the last day to withdraw nominations is 26th of October. And the Congress on Tuesday lost its largest party tag in Goa when 2 of its MLAs joined the BJP. Subhash Shirodkar and Dayanand Sopte resigned from the party after meeting BJP President Amit Shah. And Assembly Speaker Pramod Sawant said that Shirodkar and Sopte sent their resignations to him by fax. Now, the switch is a setback to the Congress party that finds its strength reduced to 14 in a 40-member assembly. The BJP-led coalition now has a clear majority in the assembly with the support of its allies, besides 3 independents.
मुख्यमंत्री श्री मनोहर पर्रिकर जी के हाथ मजबूत करें और आगे आने वाले दिनों में गोवा में और मजबूत और जनता के प्रति संवेदना और विकास की भावना से काम करने वाली सरकार को आगे बल दें.
News from Jammu and Kashmir now. The final phase of urban local body elections in the state concluded on Tuesday. 36 wards voted in the final phase, while candidates in 52 wards were elected unopposed. Polling was held amidst tight security arrangements at 308 polling stations in the twin districts of Srinagar and Ganderbal. Kashmir Valley recorded a low voter turnout of 4.2% and Ganderbal district recorded just over 11% voting. Remember, 2 major parties, the National Conference and the PDP, have boycotted the elections, accusing the centre of not taking a firm stand on Article 35A of the Constitution. An average 35% votes were polled in the state in all the 4 phases combined, and counting of votes will take place on 20th of October. In Breakfast News, we'll slip into a very short break here. We'll be right back with more news. Welcome back on to the other top story. The hill shrine of Sabarimala in Kerala will open today for the first time to public following the Supreme Court ruling allowing women of all ages to enter it. The shrine opened today for its routine monthly puja. In the run-up to the opening of the shrine, several religious and political groups have been protesting under the Save Sabarimala campaign, asking the state government to file a review petition. The state government, on the other hand, on Tuesday made it clear that anyone stopping the entry of women into the shrine will be dealt with strictly. Women police officers have been deployed to ensure the safety of women devotees. Also, last-minute efforts to diffuse the tension failed after talks between the temple board and various stakeholders fell apart. Now, Kerala has witnessed a series of protests and prayer marches over the last few days over the government's decision to enforce the Supreme Court order. The hill shrine dedicated to Lord Ayyappan will close on 22nd of October. Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha, Harivansh, has underscored the need to address the challenges posed by climate change through global cooperation. Speaking at the 139th Assembly of the Inter-Parliamentary Union in Geneva, Harivansh said that India is committed to fight against these challenges by forging a common and united action. He said that climate change is one of the biggest challenges faced by developing countries. He also highlighted India's efforts in mitigating the effects of climate change, citing the International Solar Alliance formed with France.
We are of the opinion that the promotion of global well-being requires institutionalizing the concept of one world through partnerships based on solidarity, equity and sharing. India believes that the benefits of international fair and free trade and investment must be shared widely enough and that there is a need to better enable to people to seize the opportunities and benefits of economic globalization. In this direction, the WTO plays an important role by bringing stability and predictability to the multilateral trading system.
News from the national capital now. The National Green Tribunal has imposed a 50 crore rupees fine on the Delhi government for not taking action against polluting steel pickling units in the residential areas of the national capital. The tribunal also directed the government to shut these units with immediate effect. A bench headed by NGT chairperson rapped the government for not closing the industrial units despite its specific directions. The order came on a plea filed by an NGO seeking the execution of NGT's previous order. The Green Panel had directed the Delhi Pollution Control Committee to take action against the stainless steel pickling industries in the residential areas as they fall under the prohibited list of industrial activity. Agriculture Minister Radha Mohan Singh inaugurated a 2-day agri startup and entrepreneurship conclave in New Delhi on Tuesday. Addressing the conclave that began on World Food Day, Radha Mohan Singh said that the government is continuously working on achieving the goal of zero hunger by 2030 in a systematic manner. The theme of the event is to unleash potential in agriculture for youth agri-entrepreneurs. The conclave also showcased several startups in the field of agriculture. The two-day conclave is being attended by agriculture scientists, agripreneurs and experts from the field.
निश्चित रूप से हम कह सकते हैं कि आप सबके मेहनत के कारण जो पूरे दुनिया के लिए आज चुनौती है उसका न सिर्फ सामना हम करने के रास्ते पर हैं बल्कि उस पर विजय प्राप्त करने के रास्ते पर भी बढ़ चलें और परिणाम भी सामने कि पिछले 4.5 वर्षों में भारतीय कृषि ने लगातार उल्लेखनीय प्रगति की।
And let's get an update on the ZIKA virus. The Union Health Ministry has directed the National Centre for Disease Control to monitor ZIKA cases on a daily basis. The directive has been given after a number of people infected with the virus rose to 80 in Rajasthan. The ministry has also urged people not to panic. The ministry said that it was working along with the state governments, the local authorities as well as the municipal corporations for strengthening their efforts in vector control, surveillance and awareness activities. Health Minister JP Nadda chaired a high-level meeting to review the activities for the prevention and the control of the ZIKA virus and seasonal influenza on Tuesday. He stressed on the need to undertake exhaustive control measures including fogging, while also strengthening surveillance to facilitate early identification of cases. Meanwhile, the Rajasthan Health Minister said that awareness drives have been initiated in schools to sensitize students about the disease, with the majority of the cases being reported from Shastri Nagar in Jaipur. The State Health Department has issued an advisory for pregnant women not to visit the area. On to some other news now. The government on Tuesday increased the rate of interest for General Provident Fund and other related schemes by 0.4 percentage points to 8% for October to December quarter. The interest rate will apply on provident funds of central government employees, railways and defence forces. The increase in the interest rate was announced by the government last month to align it with the rising deposit rates in the banks. On to the other top story of the day. The Law Ministry has endorsed a proposal of the Women and Child Development Ministry to remove the time limit for reporting child sexual abuse. Women and Child Development Minister Maneka Gandhi had on 3rd of October written to Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad asking him to remove the time limit for reporting child sexual abuse and allow people to complain even 10 to 15 years later. Senior Women and Child Development officials said that further course of action will be decided soon. Under Section 468 of the Code of Criminal Procedure, any offence including child abuse which can lead to a prison term of 3 years has to be reported within 3 years of the incident. According to Section 473 of the CRPC, a court may take cognizance of an older case if it is in the interest of justice or if the delay has been properly explained. And in a giant leap towards the digitization of criminal investigation, the police in 6 major cities, including Delhi and Mumbai, will mandatorily conduct videography of a crime scene. The centre told this to the Supreme Court on Tuesday. The other cities where videography of crime scenes would be mandatory are Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Bangalore and Chandigarh. In April, the top court had asked the centre to prepare a plan for introducing videography in criminal investigations to strengthen the rule of law. The affidavit filed by the centre said that the plan for crime scene videography would be implemented in phases. The centre has sought another 6 months from the court for full-fledged implementation of this plan. Petroleum Minister Dharmendra Pradhan on Tuesday said that US sanctions on Iran will not impact India. Addressing the India Energy Forum, Pradhan said that the availability of crude oil is not an issue, but the sentiment around losing a big oil supplier is driving the prices up. He also said that India will continue to persist in its demand to OPEC countries for the abolition of Asian premium pricing of crude that leads to a spike in the fuel prices in Asia. He also said that the government does not interfere in the pricing mechanism of petroleum products. Remember, India is facing rising fuel prices for past few months. But with the US sanctions against Iran coming into effect from 4th of November, there are speculations that the prices may further go up. In a meeting with Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Sunday, Saudi Arabia's oil minister had promised to fulfill India's oil requirements.
Availability is not the issue. Due to geopolitical challenges, there is a sentimental issue. Everybody, the Secretary General OPEC is right. Everybody has to ensure for a market stability. This is beneficial for consuming country. This is equally beneficial for producing country. We are asking for abolition of Asian premium. Naturally, that leads to for a club. We are talking to the major consuming countries of Asian subcontinent. It's China, Japan, Korea, India, and India is pursuing. But every sovereign country have their own engagement. But I think India is successful on this initiative. There is an emerging consensus why we should give premium, more premium.
And intensifying its pressure on Iran, the US has imposed sanctions on a multi-billion-dollar financial network that supports the Iranian paramilitary force. Announcing sanctions, the US Department of Treasury alleged that the paramilitary force, subordinate to Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, indulges in militia recruits, trains and deploys child soldiers to fight conflicts across the region. The announcement came 2 weeks before the Trump administration reimposes some of the US's harshest sanctions against Iran, including its oil sector. On to the other big international news. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo would visit Turkey to hold talks on key bilateral issues and the disappearance of Saudi Arabia's dissident journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Now, Khashoggi, a Washington Post contributor, is feared killed at the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. He has not been seen since entering the kingdom's mission 2 weeks ago. Pompeo, who is currently in Saudi Arabia, will travel to Ankara today. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump on Tuesday said that Saudi Arabia has started a full investigation into the disappearance of the journalist. Soon after talking with the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman over phone, Donald Trump in a tweet said that answers related to Khashoggi's disappearance would be forthcoming shortly. The UN Human Rights Chief has called for the lifting of the immunity of officials who might be involved in Khashoggi's disappearance. Turkish police on Monday also searched the Saudi consulate in Istanbul for the first time since the disappearance. The Turkish officials have said that they believe that he was killed. Saudi Arabia has denied that claim. On the sporting action now, Indian shuttler Saina Nehwal has advanced to the second round of the Denmark Open badminton tournament on Tuesday. Saina Nehwal defeated Hong Kong's Cheung Nagan 20-22, 21-17, 24-22 in the first match. However, third seed PV Sindhu and the mixed doubles pair of Ashwini Ponnappa and S. Ranki Reddy bowed out of the tournament after losing in the first round. In the men's singles event, Srikanth defeated Denmark's Hans Christian Wittenhuis in 35 minutes with a scoreline of 21-16, 21-10 to cruise into the next round, while Samir Verma entered the second round, overcoming China's Shi Yuki 21-17, 21-18 in 44 minutes. And Suraj Panwar has clinched a silver in the men's 5,000 meters race walk event in the ongoing Youth Olympic Games to open India's medal accounts and athletics at Buenos Aires in Argentina. Panwar's total time of 40 minutes 59 seconds, 0.17 seconds was over 7 minutes slower than Martin Oscar of Ecuador, who topped the event. Puerto Rico's Jan Moru finished third to claim the bronze medal. Now, this is India's first athletics medal in this edition and third overall. Arjun and Durgesh Kumar had won a silver each in the inaugural edition in 2010. And that's it from me and my team in this edition of Breakfast News. But news and updates continue on your channel. Thanks for watching.